Welcome to lesson 3 of algebra. Today we just want to go over a few other helpful words that you should know in order to make math easier. These are algebra specific words. And so knowing these words can help us talk about them in the future, or if you ever take another math class, you'll often run into these words or hear these words, and so it's useful just to know them. As a reminder, the book just wants you to go over and remember the words that you've already learned in this course. So the words that they are focusing on, and this will continue to show up in your homework as review problems. So the words that you've learned are real numbers, natural numbers, integers, rational numbers, and irrational numbers. And just the ability to categorize these numbers and recognize which number is which type of number, you're going to see that coming back on your homework. So that's 5 of the words that you need to know for your algebra course. Today we are covering variables and coefficients. Now if you've taken any pre-algebra type course, you should know and be familiar with variables and coefficients, but you might not remember that these names go with these terms. So let's go over it. Let's see. Let's do this. Alright, so if we see an algebraic problem that says something like this, well, in this problem we have both a variable and what's called a coefficient. So let's cover variables first. The word variable is used to describe letters that we use to stand in for numbers that we don't know. So in this case, our variable is a. But any letter can be chosen to be used as a variable. You'll often see x, y, z, c is a pretty common one, a is also common, but literally anything can be used as a variable. And the point of a variable is to take the place of something that we want to discover but don't know what it currently is. A very classic example is, let's say you have a job and you know that you make, in this case, let's say $5 an hour at your job, but you don't work the same number of hours every week. So some weeks you might work 7 hours, and some weeks you might work 3 hours, and some weeks you might work 2.5 hours, and that's why this term is called a variable, because it can vary. We could have a 2.5-hour work week, we could have a 7-hour work week, we could have a 40-hour work week. It just changes, it varies. But if we wanted to solve a problem, let's say you want to find out how much you made the week that you worked last week, and let's say you worked 9 hours, well, in that case, we would be doing the problem 5, and we would replace our variable with 9, because now we know how much you've worked. And 5 times 9, that's supposed to be equal sign. 5 times 9 equals 45, so you would have made $45 last week. So that's how we use variables in algebra, and basically all of algebra is working with these variables, and you just need to know the name of them so that if you ever run into the name variable ever in any other math class, you know what they're talking about. Alright, so that covers variable, and then the other term that they want you to know is coefficient. Now coefficient is a very fancy word that just means the numbers that sit next to a variable. Let me see if they have any other official definition. Nope. It's literally the number next to the variables are called the coefficients. So I can write out another problem if we want to. Let's see. We could write like 3m. Well, your variable is m and your coefficient is 3. Or we could do, sorry, I lost my page in the book. Let's say we had the problem just a. Well, what's the coefficient if we only have the variable a listed in our problem? Well, in this case, we can imagine that this a has a hidden, oh, sorry, that's supposed to be a 1 right next to it, because we have 1a, right? If you only have 1a listed, you only have 1a, so your coefficient in this case would be 1. Usually we just leave that 1 off because it's redundant. We don't actually need it. We just can know that that 1 exists if it ever came in handy to be like, oh yeah, that's 1a. And then we could do a problem like 1a plus 2a equals, well, 3a. All right, so that's how we use variables and coefficients in algebraic expressions. We'll get into a little more in the next lesson, but this one I just wanted to keep really short for you.